RA, it's about support. Blitzcrank is something you've been highlighting. Of course, Nautilus, I feel like, is what we usually see here, but that's taken off the table by RA themselves every game this series. If they want to engage, going with the Rel, that is a bit of a flex, but I would expect it to go down towards that 2v2.
Yeah, that said, we've seen a bit of Rel versus Xin Zhao, and certainly very good at dealing with those grubs. Either way, up to the top side we go with the Aatrox hover, and you do expect the Aatrox to be the final decision for RNG, but instead looking towards the mid lane for now. Tangyuan gonna take the Akali into this Nico from Vicla. So wanting to take things into his own hands. I don't think Ming is gonna lock into Zach here.
Please, please let us bring out the Zach. I guess it would go top if they brought it out, right? We'd have potentially the Riftmaker Zach. I want to talk about it because I want some spice in this final game, and we got it, Munch.
That is sick. The top lane Zach coming on through. This is going to be a game and a half right here. Bit of AP Zach, I imagine, or maybe goes for tank, I don't know. Zach's certainly in a strong spot, but Naiyou answers in kind with a carry of his own. We've seen a good bit of Kindred so far this split. Milky Way especially looking fantastic on the pick. But Naiyou wanting to strut his own stuff with the carry in the jungle.
Yeah, a ton of DPS coming out on the side of RA now and having the front line to supplement it. I mean, this comp in front of Baron, in front of turrets, can just be such a menace. For RNG side, though, like you said, the Zach, I'm so excited to see how it itemizes. In solo queue, you kind of get a fair amount of both, you know, whether it's just full tank Zach or like AP Zach. Even some people kind of mix and match and, you know, you'll go full tank and maybe eventually throw in something like a Riftmaker or even potentially a Rylai. So it's going to be fun. I hope RNG can make something happen with it because their composition really just wants to run you down.
It really does. They're going to be more than happy to make that happen if you misstep. A very aggressive bot lane. We've got an Akali in the mid lane. We've got a Zac up top. I mean, if they needed hard engage, they've got hard engage in the form of a Zac. Maybe the most hard engaged champion in the entire game.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I do got to say, though, right, they're going up against Lamb's Respite. They're going up against Pop Blossom. There's a lot of things they could jump into that would kind of set up RA exactly for what they want. So they're still going to have to be incredibly careful and smart with the engages they do pick.
Let's see if they can pull it off. I'm just taking a look at, you know, a little bit of solo queue of what pros have been playing with Zac top. There is a little bit of Zac top going around. Mostly going for the tank builds. Occasionally a little bit of Liandry's in there as well. Let's see what Breathe is going to go for here in game 3.
Again, this one's just going to be such a fun one. Is Zorah hoping he could pinch someone, but with Kindred on one side, with Zac on the other. And funnily enough, that sounds like it would be a jungle matchup with the way I just said that, and it's not. Just having them on opposing sides of the rift. Also, Assum going with the Hail of Blades. So going probably towards that lethality that we'd expect, which surprises me, considering that you really can outrange Zac once he has max levels in that E. He can just jump at you from anywhere.
Yeah, you really can. It's so incredibly annoying to play against. Let's see how Breathe is going to do on the pick as well, because, you know, this is a champion that, whether or not you're a veteran, whether or not you've played a lot, if you're a top laner, you'd have to go pretty far back to have played a lot of Zac top, unless Breathe has been practicing a lot very recently in solo queue. I'm excited to see how he's going to look. Throws up the fist bump for Xiaoxu. Xiaoxu, unfortunately, doesn't even have the ability to return that one in kind.
No. And, you know, even though we're excited for Zac, I don't expect to see too much happen early on. Zac usually does start with, you know, maxing W, and then you go into your E when you're in the top lane. So not even really high impact in team fights, even until way later into the game. So a lot of our action definitely just going to be about this 2v2 down in bot. We can see Way pathing down towards it.
Wow.
2014, the last top lane Zac. Crazy.
When I was talking about Zac a second ago, I nearly said I want to say the last time was like 2014, and it actually was. I shouldn't have second guessed myself. I would look like a genius.
3,612 days. Great, and again, it kind of makes you wonder how long he's been cooking it up. I have seen people like Hoya playing it, and so like you know, obviously a player we saw play earlier in the day. So gonna have his chance to find his impact, but again, everything starts here in this spot lane 2v2. I wonder if Whale even try and find presence down here if the 2v2 can start getting heavy trades and potentially zone them off turret.
I guess it's just one of these matchups where, kind of similar to Udyr, you just have such incredible pushing power, the ability to harass while you do it, and that much sustain. You can just stay in lane forever, keep on pushing, keep on putting that pressure down in the top side. I'm excited to see what Breathe builds, how he uses this pick. But let's take a look at the junglers for a minute here. As Wei path down towards this bottom side, towards the Ashe Kalista lane. He's got just hammering away at the turret down there. In the meantime, Naiyou went up to the top side. So we're going to have a trade of crabs on opposite sides.
Now we can see the mid lane matchup also going quite horrendous. I mean, you expect these in a Kali, not even taking fleet footwork, so not going to have the same sustain that, you know, a lot of Kalis do, going for the Conqueror to be able to dish out more damage later on in the game.
So Wei will be able to get this crab. Unfortunately, for Naiyou, this is the crab with the Kindred mark. So Wei will be able to deny that, at least for the time being. And just hover, just make sure no shenanigans are occurring. I don't think anything is going to come of it for the time being as reset comes on through. And they'll just keep on pushing these waves. But as you said, like, we're probably going to be waiting a few minutes until too much action kicks off. As I say, that trade's at the top side. Breathe has so much sustain with his little bloblets.
Able to survive this fight, like you said. Ooh. Oh, Tangyuan goes down! The pop from that Q, able to finish him off. Huge for RA.
I mean, what is there to say? He landed his ear and just boxed the game. Vicla wasn't even really a part of that play. He just whacked his abilities out and walked away. Tangyuan just dies in his shroud. Oh, it's tough to watch. As Breathe just winning out these trades against the K'Sante. It's looking like a good matchup so far.
Yeah, definitely holding down the fort. And it's interesting, right? Because RA, I think, having similar flavors to especially their Game 1 draft, bringing out a carry, potentially wanting to unleash it through countering, jungling around topside. But he isn't really fighting the same lead he did in Game 1. A lot of that coming down to Wei and what he was able to do. You know, that was cute, but I want to point out that LWX and Ming, unlike Game 1, like Game 1, are still fighting that advantage. But again, there's no disparity on the opposite side of the map this time around. So a much better start for RNG than that Game 1.
Yeah, definitely the case. I want to go back to the cute seal, though. That was really adorable. Or is it an Earth? Maybe it's a baby Earth. Which, let's be honest, are essentially just large.
Yeah,
it's like a manatee, right? Like,
yeah.
It's one of those mythical creatures where it's like, yeah, you know, we made this up. This is a mythical creature. We changed the name. See, that makes it mythical. It's like, well, is it new? Is this original? I feel like this is already an animal. Kind of like Dugong in Pokemon. Yeah, very original.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Good call on that one. I'm just so... Like, look at the mini-map, Munch. Both junglers are on the same side of the map. They're not too far apart. I just want them to run into each other.
Let's have a scrap. Look at this bot lane right now. There's a lot of minions there for Assum to get, but 20 CS lead already in favor of the Kalista. It will be minimized a little bit, but still about 10 ahead right now. Fantastic start for LWX and for Ming. Serrated Dirk already there. And I will say, you may have played a lot against the kind of on-hit Kalista. Typically historically the way that you go. But these days, with the serrated Dirk early in lane, like the QE just alone does incredible damage.
Yeah, it is insane, right? It really can just chunk you out of anywhere and just set up for the all-in. But RA should be able to get this dragon. We can see on the mini-map that RNG's bot lane and jungle were kind of positioning over, but Tangyuan clearly saying, hey, I'm not in a position to fight. I need to go for my reset. Doesn't have TP and does do so. So now we're going to be looking up towards those grubs. That's also where the Kindred mark is around the crab. So if RA can get that, that would be huge. It seems like maybe not realizing that Wei's sticking around the spot lane so long and that he might already be on his way up towards that side.
Still Vicla just throwing out as much damage as he can. Doing a good job in this mid lane. He's 10 CS up. Obviously got the solo kill earlier against Tangyuan. Doing a good job to outspace all of these abilities. Just dodging everything Tangyuan throws at him. And just returning autos every single time. Getting that airy to proc. Getting that extra damage down. Fantastic bit of laning coming out from Vicla.
Yeah, doing a great job. And I mean, playing against Tangyuan, not really someone we think of as an Akali player, is Breathe. Probably still just going to be fine. Yeah, not someone we know as an Akali player, right? I feel like for everyone, when you think of Tangyuan, you think of Galio. But actually sitting 2-0 on the Akali so far this split, 12.5 KDA, not too shabby in the least.
Now, this is entirely anecdotal. I have no evidence, but I feel like Galio players and Akali players are a similar breed. Like, somehow, Galio players also play Akali, and vice versa. I feel like they just...
What about Teacher Mo?
Well, Akali wasn't reworked, okay? It's a different era. Different kind of Akali.
I also know what you mean.
That's true.
I think one that would jump to mind very easily would be someone like Angel, where you do think of him for like the Tiath, the Galio, the Talia, but then you also think of the Akali.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of Yagao in there as well as... Oh no, Tangyuan, he's jumped straight into... Oh god, it's a disaster. Vicla solo kills him twice in a row. This is... I mean, it couldn't be going much worse in the mid lane, could it?
No, and right, he was the one looking for the aggression there, knowing that Wei wasn't too far behind, but this is also why I said RNG have a lot of tools to go in, but RA have some tools that they're happy with you going in. If you just give Vicla the free Pop Blossom, he loves that. Naiyou, like we said, the Lamb's Respite that's going to be coming to play later on, not going to dissuade us. We're going to go into the replay here. Gets caught by the Tango Barbs into the Q, and the bit of damage from the explosion there, too. I just really overreacting to the amount of damage he'd have and being able to take Vicla down. Not expecting, I guess, for whatever reason, the ult to lock him down and him be able to finish him off, but really just a misread from Tangyuan.
Yeah. It's the fact that he, like, Qs the minions as well. I'm not sure that Tangyuan was trying to all in there. I think he was just, like, trying to put pressure so that he could guarantee the wave. But sort of accidentally all-inned? Maybe I'm just misreading that, but...
I mean, even if we say his intention wasn't to all-in, it's like, I don't know in what world he thinks he can...
necessarily make it better.
I don't know what world he thinks he can just go up to the Nico there when the ult's still available, so... I already have a lot of, like, now have this Nico that's getting big, but, I mean, we're still waiting to see them translate it into anything. RNG picked up 2 of the grubs so far. RA are the team that's gotten first dragon, but no significant gold lead going in either direction.
It's not often that you see a game like this, is it, where there is just a huge gap in a lane. You know, like, I don't want to put too fine a point of it, but like usually when you're getting kills in the mid lane like this, it's like junglers are involved or it's kills from a dragon fight. Like, I feel like we rarely see solo kills in the mid lane these days in LPL. The fact that we get 2 in a row, I mean, like you said, Tangyuan not known for his Akali. Doesn't feel like he's that comfortable in the matchup either.
No, and I feel like the weirdest part is that their kills that aren't really being able to be translated into much else, right? Like, still stuck in lane, not really able to bring it onto the map. Doesn't seem like already feel like there's any opportunities elsewhere. Not really able to turn it into enemy neutrals or like walking into enemy jungle. So it does kind of just end up being the individual lead for Vicla. Does just get the rocket belt, so going to have an easier time at finding access onto LWX and Ming. If you know, we start getting to the point where we're going to be grouping for these team fights. I wonder if RNG or if RA will even look to contest this Drake. They do. I would assume they should. I mean, they have an incredibly strong Nico. RA definitely should be the team looking to contest. But RNG are the team that have been able to keep up Prio in bot lane.
Yeah, that said, with the stacks, we can just one-shot the cannon. And now, perhaps Varus, interestingly, Assum has picked up his Mana Moon very, very early, long before it's stacked. So deciding to try and rush the stacks. Now, this is something that you can do if you're wanting to spike hard onto items, because it means you'll stack it a lot faster, it means that you will be able to finish it by the time your first lethality item comes in. It's not something you see all too often, though.
No, definitely not. And we're going to be able to leverage that. And again, the fact that Vicla also having his first item as well right into that dragon. So 2 dragons up, not like a little bit of a gold lead. Definitely feeling RA are in a decent position here. I mean, I think me and you both came, I think most people came in thinking like, okay, this might be a close series. It's going to be an RNG favorite series, right? RNG are the team that has a core that's been together. RNG have like players tested at the highest level of the game. That has not been the case. And so far, I'd say not looking like the case here once again.
Yeah, it's been a tough series, honestly, for RNG. Had some questionable moments, and I mean, RA, the same could be said, but I feel like on average have been a bit more clean with it.
And different expectations, right?
I feel like Vicla has had a really good series compared to what he's looked like for the rest of this. That's not as subtle as you think it is. Compared to the rest of the split, though, like Vicla had some pretty... He had a couple of stinkers, let's be honest, early on in this split.
Exactly.
This series, he's looked pretty good. He's had a couple of down moments, but generally speaking, he's definitely been the better mid laner. Oh, it's whiffs galore down in the bottom side. Ult for ult, neither hits. The TP, oh, Vicla doesn't quite land the root. If he hits that root, it's a Pot Blossom as well, and that would be one dead support.
So it does at least give some room for Tangyuan to be able to push this wave. So at the end of the day, RNG coming out a bit ahead with the fact that they were able to guarantee that TP. Ooh, actually just end up giving away the spot turret. So RNG going to be able to leverage this pressure into something well. We'll see if RA start making their way to the Rift Herald. Looks like Naiyou's making his way there now, so we'll be able to get an objective for themselves too.
It's just endlessly trading. They're just both farming grasp procs in the top side. As Naiyou starts the Herald up, should be able to quickly work his way through this. This is the nice thing about Kindred as well. You get to build that Kraken Slayer as your first item. Oh, no way. Zorah toying with him here. It doesn't actually want to start a fight. Just wanted to cancel the recall. But yeah, the true damage from the Kraken Slayer helps you get through this Herald a little bit quicker. Does have a lot of armor to deal with.
We can see the goal of the players now. Vicla obviously being first isn't surprising. LWX. Assum actually not as far behind as you'd expect. Like, of course he's even in CS, but the amount of plates that LWX is getting, I would have expected him to be, you know, a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, I suppose part of it is, A, they nerfed plates, right? It's only 125 rather than the 140, which is not that big, but it adds up.
Still noticeable,
but also,
yeah.
Him and Ming shared all of that gold too, so...
True.
I suppose it's only really like 2.5 plates in terms of solo. And there is one plate, I think, that's gone on that bottom blue tower. So perhaps Assum was able to get that solo. Would close the gap a little bit. Assum's done a very good job of staying even in CS, honestly. Like, pretty impressive considering the amount of pressure that comes out in a lane like this.
Yeah, and I feel like that just goes back to the point that again, a lot of... I don't feel like RA have really a big problem in terms of like individual player skill. Even players, if you point out, like Vicla, who'd been struggling a little bit earlier, Naiyou, who have kind of been a little bit hit or miss, like they still have those moments where you're like, okay, I can see the potential and like what these guys could do. So it's kind of nice that we've gotten to see that hold up, and you even see it kind of blossom a little bit with every RA series that goes on, even if it still hasn't really been able to convert into any wins. This might finally be their chance, and we can tie them with RNG.
Yeah. And what an organization to be tied with. This, not only is it like RNG, a historic organization, but also this roster that you would expect to be a top team. Well, maybe not a top team, but like certainly a playoffs contender. So far, that's not been the case. Here we go. Herald charge down the mid. Oh, Herald engage in the mid lane. Let's go, Naiyou. I love it. Kindred ult keeps him alive as Breathe, causing absolute chaos. A Pot Blossom goes sideways as Ming gets into it. Tangyuan looking for redemption. Hits one with the ultimate, even though the Shuriken goes wide. Now onto Assum as well, and he's got energy to work with. Assum's gonna... No, he misses the Q. Oh, God, Tangyuan. Oh, it's a disaster again.
Yeah, I feel like missing. I actually feel like missing the Q, and even missing that first D was a big deal. Because if he connected that first D, could have used the ult on a different target, right? So some mechanical mistakes coming through, being the decider. RA coming out ahead in terms of kills, but it does open up RNG to be able to take this dragon. But DP's on the map right away. I don't think they can contest still. This is still only 2 against 4.
It looks like Xiaoxu wants to. He pushes the wave, moves in. RNG respects it. I suppose it's a Hextech Rift as well, so the rest of the gang are here now already.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Hextech Rift, so yeah, able to make it down. Even with the Kalista, I guess that wouldn't have been fast enough for them to be able to finish. Or even if they had,
oh boy,
I guess Sorry would have had position for a fight, but they might still have one. No Enchanted Crystal Arrow up yet.
No, and they can do this pretty damn quickly. Honestly, this might go down before the fight can come on through. Tangyuan and Breathe looking for the flag. We might just have another 5v5 back-to-back here. As they DPS down the Drake. Wei trying to move in. Naiyou dodges the stun. A couple more autos. The Drake will be taken. Can they find the fight as well? Breathe on the backside as well. Goes in onto Naiyou. In the top side, Xiaoxu in trouble. The Pop Blossom again goes wide as Breathe dives onto Naiyou and looks for the kill here. He'll slam him onto the floor, and suddenly it's RA there sent packing. This game is ridiculous.
Yeah, the fact that the Pop Blossom couldn't find anything, I feel like was the difference maker. No Lamb's Respite either, so not able to keep people alive now. RNG not going to be able to do too much more off of this. Looks like they are getting side lanes under control, as we can see Tangyuan pushing in that bot wave. But still going to be a nice little injection of gold, as we're going to see here, right? The Kindred ult not being up feels like a real difference maker, because it means RNG, I mean, just have such a level of threat. You don't have that safety there. Great turn on the way, but look, Pop Blossom not able to connect after those flashes come through. Yeah. And now it just leaves RA in a world of hurt.
I just love the kill from Breathe there. Just splats Naiyou into the floor. And I mean, honestly, like, the fact that Tangyuan messes up in the previous team fight, then Vicla, 2 Pop Blossoms in a row he's missed. This jungle matchup, this mid lane matchup, really, it's not looked particularly good for either player. Vicla getting 2 solo kills in lane, but if you're not hitting the Pop Blossoms, it doesn't matter.
True. It really feels like the Pop Blossom and the Kindred ult are like 2 of the things that make this comp work against what RNG has drafted. Without those, I mean, RNG really should just have a field day of like being able to find access to the backline with the amount of dive that they have.
It certainly feels that way. And I mean, that's what we just saw.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is Breathe with only 2 items. It's only going to get worse. He's got Anathemas as well, which, in case Vicla ever wanted to do any damage to him, he will be denied. So now, Spill Pure, okay, see you later, Naiyou. That's Baron for RNG if they want it. They've got a Kalista.
Yeah, they're going to be able to look for this. They even have great turn potential with the Zac if they just want to try to use it to find a fight.
You know, I want to get hyped about this game, Lyric, but I feel like every single play is the other team just really messing it up. Like, I feel like almost every kill in this game has been a mistake by the opponent rather than... Oh, hang on. Here we go. Breathe dives into the middle of everyone and is pulled it again. What?
You just said it. You just said it, Munch.
What is happening? Oh, no. God. I'm losing my mind.
You know the worst part, too, is like there's like really even no tension. There's no build-up. Just be like, let's cut to like what's going on over here, guys. Shenanigans.
He's like, let's cut to Breathe, and he's like, full send. Let's cut to Naiyou, full send. I don't know.
It reminds me. It kind of reminds me of the edit you did with the Xiaoxu flash over the Raptor wall. If you remember that, it's like every play is like that in this game. As we're gonna see here, thinking they caught Ming out, so you know we can understand it more now that we actually get to see the full play, having both members there, but running face first into an Enchanted Crystal Arrow, not the way you want to see it go down.
Yeah, I feel like at this point I'm watching this game in the way that I would watch, like, You've Been Framed, if you've ever watched that TV show. I don't know if they have that in America, but it's like, you know, home videos that are a bit ridiculous, that are a bit daft.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the vibe of this game right now. That is the way that it's looking. It's down to who can make the less ridiculous plays.
I mean, we're already like we're going long. We're 5.5 hours into the broadcast so far.
God.
Going really getting like the maximum bang for our buck. Not only in terms of games, but even just like the pace at which they're going. I mean, there has been a decent bit of action, right? I mean, both teams finding kills, looking to brawl, but neither team has ever been able to turn it into anything that significant. RA are sitting on soul points, so that's definitely not something to scoff at, but it feels like RNG probably at a point where their comp's really going to come online quite strong. I think a lot is going to come up to those ultimates. Vicla not having great usage so far. He's really going to have to turn it around, especially now that he has that Rabadon's death cap.
Yeah, we need to see these Pop Blossoms landing. It is as simple as that. Dark Seal in his pocket as well. Only one stack on it for now. As Tangyuan had a bit of a better performance in the previous fight. He's got a few stacks for himself. She has a bounty somehow. Not entirely sure how, to be honest, because on my screen it looks like he's pretty far behind, but there we go. They try and move it. RA want to contest this. Drake spawning as Tangyuan, looking for a deep flank here. If RNG retreat down the river, they might be able to set Tangyuan up for this flank. LWX starts stacking up those reds.
Yeah, Xiaoxu, though, I think has to be aware. Might be looking for a flank of his own, but they have to know Tangyuan's not showing anywhere. They have to be considering the possible flank.
It should just be the Drake take, and there we go. The Ren gets it, is in, goes with the Magnet Storm, denies the engage, though. He self-counter-picked himself. That didn't make any sense as Tangyuan goes into the backline alongside him. And the ultimate comes on through. Ming is about to die as well in the bottom side of the fight. It's absolute chaos as RNG, I think, are being taken apart, but Tangyuan saves the play on the top side. And now they move back in. 3v3. It's an absolute scrap as they dive on in. Vicla has to carry here. Tangyuan still alive. The mid laner versus the mid laner with a Rel and a Zac bashing about as well. Zorah, the last man standing, and this time the abilities hit, and Tangyuan gets a bit of redemption.
I feel like the difference maker there, Munch, was not the mid laner versus mid laner. It was having the Zac over the Rel, Bree just pummeling him down. Vicla not able to do anything. We keep having these close fights, but the most important thing is the fact that RNG were able to get the Drake for themselves. We're going to see how everything ends up going down here, because things look so promising for RA when the fight started off. You mentioned it, Magnet Storm countering with the Zac being able to dive in. Vicla is finally going to find the Pop Blossom that we've been asking him to find. Gets it straight on to LWX. But look at the opposite side of the fight. Tangyuan kind of weaving in and out with that ult. Able to finish off Assum and just chase down the other carries on RA. And then, like you said, once we get to this point, it really feels like the difference maker is kind of the supporting cast around both mid laners. Because Brave, dealing a ton of damage, could just slap this Nico away.
Just punching him over and over again. Flies on in, but it's too little too late. Tangyuan's already done the damage. And now 5, 3, or 4. This time I get why he's got a bounty. This time I understand it. Tangyuan getting himself back into this game. 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. 2 items finished with a needlessly large rod as well in his back pocket. It's feeling pretty good for RNG right now. But again, the gold, only 1,000 in their favor.
This series was unexpected in how close this really was gonna be. It feels like the difference maker at this point is just the Sakali, though. No, they have too many threats that they have to consider locking down, right? Zac's mobile, Kallista's mobile, Kali's mobile, that will see them use these tools. Magnet Storm on the Zac, you know, maybe Pop Blossom's used on the Kallista, but then the Kali's left to roam free. And it feels like that wouldn't matter, like, pending on how it changed, right? Like, maybe you lock a Kali down, but then LWX is left loose. So there's just so many different things that RA are left to worry about in these fights. It has to be so annoying.
Yeah, there's so many threats. Assum doesn't stand a chance. But it's Naiyou that I've been surprised is really struggling to operate in these fights.
Yeah.
He's 0-4 so far. This is the first time we get to see him play Kindred on the professional stage. Unfortunately, not really working out for the time being. This composition from RNG making it really difficult, but also a couple of mistakes when it comes to positioning, like getting caught out, being in the wrong place. I mean, we saw the one where he sort of just walked in from the jungle. Breathe is in big trouble, pulled over the wall, turns into bloblets, and Xiaoxu can easily finish those off, or can he? Yes, he can. Solo kill for Xiaoxu.
And this is why you're always excited to watch Xiaoxu. He just knows how to find these opportunities. Now going to get a turret off the back of it as well and relieve so much pressure around the rest of the map. I'm surprised RA aren't willing to try and force more around topside. You have TP on your Nico. You have TP on the Cassante. That could have even been like a potential, like, try to force Baron and look for a turn. But we're going to see here exactly how it goes down. I mean, Breed's already chunked to about half. Great knockback from the W to give the space for the R to come over the wall. And then the damage once he's ulted is massive. But like I said, I feel like they could have gone for a pretty bold Baron off the back of that kill if they were decisive. But maybe it's my fault, Munch. I forgot. Yeah, I mean, RA are afraid of it.
Yeah, you got to remember who you're talking about here. RA do a decisive Baron? I don't think so. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Reset comes through for Naiyou. Even though he was spotted, doesn't really matter. Drake coming up, though. That is something that RA are willing to fight over. Let's see if they can get it. LWX able to rend the previous one. He's now on 3 items. You can see that Tangyuan close to getting his Zhonya's, has himself the Seeker's Arm Guard, so the essentially stopwatch to keep himself safe. I might just start calling it stopwatch, honestly. I feel like people will understand that better.
Yeah, you're probably right. Just something so different from what we're used to, but now kind of tracking the fight. Breathe, Tangyuan. Again, such different angles you have to worry about. The double flanks coming in from opposing sides of the fight. Xiaoxu and Zorah having to mark them.
Breathe doesn't have his passive right now. He is not as tanky as I thought he would be. Dives into the Dragon Pit. He's alive, but only just. Xiaoxu is behind them. They're on the wrong side of the map, and Xiaoxu is not going to let him get away with it. He's going to keep them at bay. The ult comes in from Ming. Wait, trying to get the soul. He denies it. RNG managed to stop the Drake as the all-out comes on through. LWX has been found, and Xiaoxu gets another solo kill. Flash for flashes. Ming dodges away from Vicla. In goes Breathe after resetting, and now we're on to Xiaoxu. 3v1 here. In the meantime, Tangyuan's been found, but he dashes away to safety. Might even go back in onto Assum. In the meantime, the roots come on through, and Xiaoxu dives back into the action once more. He's got reinforcements, and the Q3 lands as well. Breathe bouncing around the play, but does he have enough damage? Naiyou gets his ult into the play as well. They're knocked out of the Lamb's Respite and taken down. RA, that was gorgeous.
And now we're going to be able to turn to Baron. Funnily enough, Assum and Zorah actually chased Tangyuan all the way to topside jungle. Huge fight for RA. Big Baron play coming, and this should be the swing that they need to push the game forward.
Unbelievable fights this game. They have been so chaotic, and yet RA are coming out on top. And we said this is a team with plenty of mechanical skill. This is a team that has potential, and in crazy fights like that, they get to show it.
I gotta say, like, I was honestly kind of uninspired by RA to start this one off. I think they're dedicating way too many resources to dealing with the Akali when Xiaoxu's already doing so much to zone off the backline. That could have been their soul. But it doesn't matter. They still find the pick with Xiaoxu getting right on top of LWX. You hit it, another solo kill going through. This is where I was a bit surprised to see RNG willing to keep going. I understand that the fight is split. We are jumping on to this huge Cassante. He has backup available, and you don't actually have a whole lot of damage here with your Kalista dead and your Akali being run off to the opposite side of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, the idea is maybe Xin Zhao is your damage, but realistically, what's Xin Zhao doing to Cassante at this point in the game? Absolutely nothing. Xiaoxu walks away. He's still got his Canic Rucken shield, so Breathe's doing nothing either. He's basically invincible at that stage. Ridiculous stuff coming on through here. RA with a lead. It's 3,000 in their favor.
And Munch.
And my goodness, what a game.
RA have only ever beat RNG once in history in the LPL. They're 1 win, 5 losses. Goes all the way back to 2022 spring. So it would be really cool if RA, with this rebuild, with this kind of completely different roster and all these young talents, can actually finally get another win. And again, RNG might look down, but still, these are a lot of the same core, a lot of the same players that we've known on RNG over the years.
Yeah. At the end of the day, this is still like a world champion in this roster. There's MSI champions in this roster. This is an organization that is full of history and a roster that is full of history. And yet RA are here today, and they're here to play. So far, so good. They've got the Baron. That's been the biggest hurdle for them, is actually getting the Baron. Now we actually get to see how they use a Baron. So far, so good.
Oh, big engage.
Oh, Assum's caught by Ming's ult. That's a pretty big stun there, but the Pop Blossom might just save the day. Breathe gets onto the back line. Lamb's Respite already used as Naiyou. Low on HP and taken down. Tangyuan flies into the play and eviscerates them. RA, the siege is broken.
This game is so back and forth. It was supposed to be a sealed deal. They won a fight. They had Baron. But RNG still bringing it out. I mean, right, this is completely different. In the last fight around that Drake, Breathe was chunked out and had to recall by the time, you know, the festivities were starting. This time they have the players to buy space and set up for Tangyuan to pop off. So now, we're back into the thick of things, Munch.
I'm not going to say any grand statements about either of these teams ever again. It just doesn't work. I love that from Wei. Separates the team so that the arrow can hack. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the whole time, right, because of that arrow as well, it means Varus isn't putting off any damage, and knockups are coming through, Naiyou's force low, and everything just set up for that ult to come, for him to be able to finish him off. It was just such great execution from RNG. There really wasn't even anything RA could have done once the Zac and the Rel came in.
Kenju looks stressed, to say the very least. A little cheer at the end of the play, but they know that this is not going super smoothly right now. I'm curious to see the rest of the split from RNG now that they have picked up Kenju once again. Oh no, the Baron earns 56 gold. I think that's worse than a negative Baron play. They're just like pocket change that you got from the purple worm.
Yeah, it's the worst. And I really cannot believe we're up to 6 Drakes. We're really like getting the full amount out of this game that we can get.
I feel like we had to. This is the way it had to go, you know. Like, if it's gonna go the distance, we're going the distance in the game as well.
Yeah, I agree. Right. I don't only want 9 games. I want 9 hours of broadcast, right?
Yeah.
Kind of to bring us back and take stock of items real quick, because it's something we actually haven't done in a while. It's actually a little bit surprising that even with all the gold and all the kills, that Vicla still being up 4 items as compared to the 3.5 that Tangyuan's been able to put up.
Yeah.
Even just
Vicla's getting a lot of kills as well.
True. Hell, even 30 CS up, so I guess just a bit of an oversight there. He's really been able to keep up. I guess just only not able to keep up in terms of finding the Pop Blossoms onto the back line.
The one build that's like bothering me right now is Breathe. Like, Breathe has so much MR when it's literally only Nico on the enemy team. It's not like Nico's a tank shredder, but we've got a Kainic Rooken, Anathemas, and now we're going for the Spirit Visage as well, which the Spirit Visage I get, you know, you're playing Zac, it increases the healing. But maybe the 3 MR items is a little bit much for a comp that has 2 AD carries.
Yeah, especially like earlier in the game, it could have been all right. Like, how often is he even really dealing with things like the Varus? But now you're at a point where you're consistently getting these team fights, and you're really having to deal with Naiyou, especially in the amount of DPS he's putting out. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Definitely going to need some more armor in there. I mean, we've seen multiple times, right, that if he is getting focused down, he is quite squishy. He isn't this like super tanky, unkillable threat for the Kindred whatsoever. Which Baron are we up to?
This is Baron 3, I believe. And it's spawned onto the map. And RA, they like the look of it. They only like the look of it, though. They're not going to start anything. Never be starting the Baron. Just be looking respectfully from a distance. Here we go. Arrow goes in. Naiyou dives straight into it. And immediately Breathe can follow up. Good defense from Zorah to protect his jungler. Lamb's Respite on cooldown. Vicla gets onto Tangyuan. The route is there. Both of them immediately pop as Zhonya's as Breathe is buying space in the backside of the play. Vicla escapes up top. And in the meantime, Xiaoxu is 2v1ing. And he's about to kill LWX again. Xiaoxu is damn unstoppable in this game. He just jumps into the backline, has 1 million AD carries to kill, and kill them he will. Naiyou gets another kill, as finally Wei will fall, and RA get the fight, and it's all down to Xiaoxu.
This has to be it, right? This has to be where they start pushing. They have waves there, or they can go for this long death timers. About 30 seconds right now in most RNG members.
They're going to just try and end the game here. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't save the TP to use on a minion as it gets underneath the tower. It's not like Kasante's bringing a lot to the siege, but either way, TPing in, getting involved in the play. First tower will go down. 15 seconds on LWX, 10 seconds now. Breed will be spawning as well. They use both their right, take the inhib, guys. Please take the inhib. Inhib taken. They back away, move towards the Baron. 10 seconds on way.
This was correct. This really became a battle of Tangyuan against Xiaoxu, just on complete opposite sides of the fight. We see the initial gauge come out. It's great on Naiyou. Oh, much. We don't got time.
I did think it was optimistic to pop a replay up there, but here we go. Baron gonna go down. RA get the objective. Can they find the fight as well? Tangyuan trying to escape. The Magnet Storm pulls it back into the play, though. Tangyuan is down. That's huge. And now Breed has to try and escape from this play. He can't stay on the front line for this much longer as the rest of RA group up and push forwards. They might just struggle to find more as the Fates Call pulls Ming out to safety, and Breed can fly away.
And without Tangyuan, I don't think the kill threat's there. This is where RA can actually look to end the game.
40 seconds until he's back on the map. It's 4v4 right now because Zorah is nowhere near the rest of the team. Naiyou flashes forward onto Missing, gets the kill, and he'll get a second as well. Wade just desperately trying to survive as Naiyou gets the last respite out again, last possible second. But LWX once again has been found by Xiaoxu. Once again, Xiaoxu just runs at this Kalista and beats him to a pulp. RA take down RNG.
Well deserved, especially for Xiaoxu, who had a great performance in this last game. Like, what a menace on the K'Sante. And the second that they started isolating the Akali, whether it was their whole team or even just one of them, I think it was in the second to last like big fight, Vicla's Pop Blossom was enough to take him out. But that would open up room for Xiaoxu to just be a menace and hunt LWX down. Like, Baron might be RA's worst enemy, but Xiaoxu is LWX's sworn nemesis.
Yeah, he was making a beeline for him every single fight. I feel like they needed to play back a little bit, try and protect their AD carry perhaps, because he just could not do anything. And the amount of CC across both teams with the Rel and the Zac thrown in as